Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're all fantastic. Look at this. This is a Headfirst Cali, a 50-watt hand-built tube amplifier from Melbourne, Australia. Shout out to Jason at Headfirst Amplification. I've been watching a lot of the videos up on the Headfirst YouTube channel, and they are a real treasure trove of information. So I was super excited when he wrote to me. After a few of the viewers on the channel suggested I check them out, he got in touch and said, hey, I've just built this amp for a client. What if I ship it out to you so you can make a video or two with it, and then we can ship it onto the client? So this is the amp. It's essentially a 50-watt Jose style modded Marshall. You have two gain controls, two master volumes. You've got a bright switch per gain control and a gain structure switch per channel. So you can either have no diode clipping, you can have Zener diode clipping, or you can have some transistors set up for a kind of diode clipping thing on the amp. There's a adjustable negative feedback control on the back, and there's shared EQ as well as presence and depth controls. And it smells and looks fantastic. Let's have a listen to how it sounds. Even though the main selling point with a Jose style modded amp is the fact that you've got clipping diodes on there, and this gives you two different clipping diode types per channel, which I kind of like. It's two identical channels. If you want to set up one as just a pure solo boost, you can do that. If you want them to have different diode clipping options on each channel with distinct sounds, you can do that. We're going to start with the non-diode clipping options though, and just have a listen to what this can do, I guess, in its sort of unmodded state. The cool thing is we have two gain controls up front and a master volume. So you can use gain 1 like your kind of input boost, and gain 2 as your main gain control, and play around with different bright cap selections on each of those. And of course, a master volume on there, which is a really nice addition. I find the master on this actually scales pretty well. It's not like, you know, kind of late 70s JMP, the early 2203s, where you still just had to have the master cranked up for it to sound good. This particular design, to my ears anyway, scales pretty well without having to be insane with the volumes. Nevertheless, we're going to start with basically everything at noon except for the presence, depth, and master there around 10 o'clock. And I'm just going to play around with the two gain controls, starting with gain 2. I'll get that dialed in, and then we'll play around with what it feels like boosting input 1. Let's go. Let's maybe turn this second gain control up to about 3 o'clock. That's a nice amount of gain. This actually kind of sounds like my JCM 800 2210 at the moment, which is interesting. It's got that kind of like thickness in the low end. What it sounds like to me though is I want a bright cap on. So let's flick it to the left first, then I'll flick it to the right. I haven't even touched the EQ yet, and I'm really liking the way that's feeling under my fingers. Before we increase the gain on gain 1, let's just play around with the bright cap value there. Again, I'll flick it to the left, and then I'll flick it to the right. Ooh, to the left is spicy. Let's flick it to the right. To the right is spicy as well. Maybe if I try that with the second bright cap off, it will be a bit more effective. So to the right. That's kind of cool. I'm going to wind the gain up on this as well, and we'll just have a listen to what that sounds like. That's ridiculous. That's that late 70s early 80s Marshall thing. I'm pretty stoked with that. I am hearing maybe a bit more bass and mid-range and a little less on the old treble control right here. Let's have a listen to that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. What if we just take both gain controls all the way up on top of that? There you go. There's your perfect late 70s, early 80s Marshall thing. Maybe with the gain controls backed off a little bit. I think I like that the most. It kind of had that Judas Priest thing happening. How on earth do you play that song? I don't know if that's the right key. Similar thing, you know, maybe with a little bit more gain, it had a bit more of that kind of Scorpions. What was that album? Love at First Sting? With the one with Rock You Like a Hurricane, and with this one. It's rude, it's nasty, it's disgusting in all the best ways, and if it didn't have the diode clipping options, like I said, pretty idealized sounding Marshall. It's already the amp Marshall should be making that they're not, but the real fun is with these diode clipping options. So I'm just going to give you a taste of this. If you've seen my video with the Cherrytone Molecular, similar thing going on here. I think this switches between MPS 006As or something. I probably said that wrong. Transistors in there, and then Zener diodes, which are the classic Jose style thing. In my Cherrytone, I've got the same transistors, but a different clipping option. Can't remember what one that is either, but mine doesn't have Zener diodes, so I can't remember which one is and isn't the Zener diodes. Let's just clip it to the right anyway. This reduces the overall volume output a lot, so I'm going to wind the master up as well. And now we are in Filth Town. There you have it. That's that sound. That is the Jose modded Marshall sound that's in my head anyway. So let's flip this switch to the left. I got to bump the master even more on this side. I suspect this is the transistor side, the one that has the lower volume on there. But this is very much the same kind of thing. It's just more saturated and even nastier again. Good amp. Hear this with the two volume controls in the middle, so slightly less insane amounts of gain. Again, I've just played around with the diode clipping options. I did tweak the EQ a little bit, so I like that you can actually push the bass on this thing. The negative feedback control is kind of interesting on the back, which they've called resonance. Let's go back over to the right side with the diode clipping, bring the master back a little bit, and I am going to decrease this control as I go. So I will try to get it all the way down to 0. So that's with it down, and again, you got to kind of compensate with the master in this kind of situation. Whereas if I bring the master back down and I increase the negative feedback, I think it's kind of going to make everything just more in your face and tighter. I like that. I don't know where that is. Let me check. Cool. So that's with the that's with the negative feedback control up around 3 o'clock. Really, really cool having access to that on the back of the amp. Again, if you're familiar with the videos I've done with the molecular, there is a switch on that amp which is called girth, and it basically does a similar thing, increases the negative feedback. So that's really cool. Let's do some stuff with this. I haven't really played around with the EQ, so pretty happy with the gain structure. So that's with the clipping diodes to the right. Let's take all the mid-range out, because that's what you do, right? And we'll bring the treble up and maybe a bit of presence and a bit of depth, and let's see how chunky this gets. I'm just going to quickly go to drop D. That is thuddy. That's pretty insane. I'm going to admit it, that's too much depth for me. I kind of like this with the presence rolled back as well. Let's do the opposite though. Let's like boost the mids all the way up and bring the treble right out. I'll crank both gain controls again, and I'll leave the bright switches where they are. I think I found my favorite configuration with those, and I suspect if you get one of these or you get to try one out, you're probably going to do the same thing where you, based on your guitar and the way you like to play and the type of tones you're going for, you're going to prefer one sort of clipping over the other. You're going to prefer a particular bright cap setup. So it's kind of set and forget. And then, you could set up both channels the same, just one louder than the other, and you're kind of good to go and do a gig and have a solo boost. But let's hear this for like a lead thing. Big mid-range in there, probably too much in the mids. Maybe we'll go to like 6 or 7. Forgot I was in drop D. Apologies about that. Let's just quickly hear this with a couple of different guitars. We might do, we'll hear it with a Strat, and let's hear it with my PRS in drop C. Surprise, surprise, it sounds like a Strat, and I like that between the 3 guitars I used in this demo, you can clearly hear their character come through in the amp. So even though it has a buttload of gain on tap, it's transparent in regards to the character of what's going into it. In terms of the fit and finish and build quality on this amp, it's kind of fantastic. It seems like a boutique handmade amplifier, put together and designed by someone who really knows what they're doing. And Jason at Headfirst definitely knows what he's doing. In fact, you should go and check out his YouTube channel. He's got some demos with this very amp and several other of his builds. Plus, he has a whole bunch of information on there for free about how to modify and service your own amps. They are really in-depth, everything from stuff like, gain staging to how to install effects loops. And I just really like the kind of levels he gets down into. There's a lot of BS busting on his channel, which I'm definitely a fan of. Probably BS created by people like me who plug into these amps and say, oh yeah, this thing is blah blah blah, and we get it totally wrong. So yeah, if you had if you had any like proper questions about design things with this amp, go and check out Jason's YouTube channel. Go and check out the Headfirst website as well. If you want to order an amp, just like the person who ordered this amp, and it is going straight out to them after I finish editing this video. Yeah, congratulations to whoever bought this amp. I think you got a pretty good sounding amp. For the rest of you, if you have any specific questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. And as always, I hope you have a fantastic day. I will see you all real soon.